Both Mega Raichus are finally on their way to Pokemon Champions, and with them come the reveal of their abilities. Mega Raichu X was given the ability Electric Terrain, which was hinted at in Legends EA as well as some Champions trailers. This ability allows Raichu to prevent sleep, as well as boost his Electro-type moves. Raichu Y was given the ability No Guard, which allowed him to use inaccurate moves with certainty such as Zap Cannon, Thunder, Focus Blast, and the like. But how good are these two actually, and how much will they change the Champions metagame? Let's talk about it. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to hit like, subscribe for your boy, turn on noties, all that YouTube jazz. Now let's get started. So let's talk about the Raichus. Let's start off with Raichu X and the Electric Surge ability. So basically, if you don't know what Electric Surge is, it basically just creates electric terrain on switching, or in this case, upon Mega Evolution, right? So once you Mega Evolve, it'll set up the terrain just the way the other Pokemon like Charizard set up the weather. If you switch the Pokemon in and out, it will reset up the terrain if the terrain is over or it's overwritten. Which brings me to like, it has Volt Switch, right? So like Volt Switch is the move you would use, kind of like how I'm Rhydon with Volt Switch to keep his terrain up. Your Raichu probably wants to do the same thing, right? If other terrain setters come back, but we'll get into that in a minute. So look at its stat spread. Its stat spread is like fine. It's like a real Pokemon. It's not like a overpowered Mega by any stretch, but it's a real Pokemon. And if you consider the terrain boost, you do get a lot of extra damage on your physical and special attack. This one's a physical attacker, obviously. I wanted to go over some things as well as to why I think it could be solid. So one, it is a fake out user, right? Both of them are fake out users. This one's 110 speed, which is a little bit unfortunate because you do underspeed stuff like Sneasler when trying to get your fake outs off, but you outspeed all the other relevant fake out users like Kangaskhan, Blastoise, and Cineroar. Lopunny is not one of the relevant ones. You don't see it that often, but the other three you see pretty often, right? Compared to Lopunny, at least. So it is the second fastest fake out user, third now because of the other Raichu, but we'll get into that. It is the second fastest fake out user. With the Electric Surge and the Volt Tackle though, in the base 110, you do get a pretty solid like Charizard answer, right? So I'll go into the Charizard here, like Mega Charizard Y, for example. This is just a Peak-Lytic set. Volt Tackle, if your Jolly does infinite damage, even if you take the Charizard and like max out its bulk, right? Make it like 32. You see this, you just can't live because of the terrain boost. If you turn the terrain off, I wonder if you can live. Let me go to none. Yeah, even with the terrain off, it doesn't actually matter, right? And that's Jolly. It's not even like it's adamant. I don't know if you'd run this Jolly, because for example, most Zards run like modest, so you can run this thing at like adamant if you really wanted to, because you're outspeeding certain stuff and underspeeding most other things anyway, because nothing's really in the 110 speed tier right now. If you go to like Garchomp, for example, let me see, Garchomp, Peak-Lytic. So like Garchomps, they are Jolly, so if you want, you could like go Jolly for that, but they're not really Jolly. They're mostly adamant. So you go something like just to outspeed Garchomps, so you can like always like outrun them and Volt Switch out before they attack you. You go with this, and then you can like dump the rest in HP or something, right? Because its HP is horrible, but it's like defense numbers are not bad. So for example, like Earthquake does 101 to 120% if you're adamant 32, because your bulk is not bad. But if you run this thing with like an Incineroar or something, you got the Garchomps to -1. Now you can actually live Earthquakes, right? And now, so you can get your Incineroar in, Volt Switch out to something else, right? Because you live the attack. I will say, going back to the Charizard though, the whole Volt Tackle thing is a bit rough because you will take a ton of recoil off of this, because Volt Tackle does like, how much recoil does Volt Tackle do? 30? No, yeah, 33% recoil. So like if you're doing like say max roll like max HP is 155. So you're taking a third of that. So you're taking like 55 HP worth of like damage. So like one Volt Tackle, like something random, like you taking almost half your health, right? Which is not ideal because you're putting yourself on a severe timer. So something you could do instead of Volt Tackle is like Wild Charge, because it's weaker, but because you can run this thing adamant and because you'll get the terrain, Wild Charge with the 1/4 recoil might be a little bit better for you, because look how much damage you still do, right? And again, this is with the terrain. If I turn the terrain off, you still kind of kill these like Zards. If you go 32 on the Zard, and I gotta go 32 here, which is never something you'll ever see. You'll never see 32. But like, look at this. You still have a 20% chance to kill. Now you're more likely to run into something like 24, 14 Zard. and that'll still always kill, right? Even without the terrain. If you have the terrain up, that'll super kill. And if they intimidate you, it doesn't really matter because you will still kill. You have a roll not in your favor, but you guys get the point, right? Like, it's still a ton of damage into these bulky Zards. And these bulky Zards don't really run with instant all the time. They were doing with instant a little bit more now, but not like all the time. Some of the downsides though to something like this, again, is like Sneasler, right? So Sneasler being faster than you means you still get faked out before it fakes you out. And close combat still does a pretty decent chunk of damage. So like fake out does, like, let's say you get the min roll of 18%, right? Which I think rounds up to 19. Even with this little bit of bulk here. So you get faked out, you get chipped, and then if it close combats you right after, you're just gonna die, which is a bit unfortunate for this guy. So like maybe you drop the attack down some, you know, run it at like the bump number. Maybe you get some more bulk in your life. And it's like, here's the thing, right? You can still die to fake out because it does upwards of 20% and does upwards of 86. So like, this is Jolly. Oh, this is Adamant. This is Adamant. But still, Adamant will still outspeed you because you're probably going to run Adamant. And if they run Jolly, oh my God, it doesn't kill you, the combo, but look how much it still does, right? And that's with a lot of bulk. So the HP number really holds back what I think are good defensive stats in the defensive spread def, but the HP does hold it back a bit. So that's like the downside, is that it's slow and it still does get hit pretty hard. Additionally, the coverage is pretty not great on Raichu. So I put play rough here. If I just go like physical for a second, let's go by base power, right? Just see the strongest base power moves. Like body slam, you're not using. Brick break, drain punch. I think I saw Marcos talking about this, like how the drain punch on this thing is actually not that great. That's not the right one. Let's just go drain punch into like King Gambit, right? King Gambit, Fecal Accept. Let's see what the item is. They have Chopple. I wouldn't get rid of Chopple, put Choice Scarf, whatever. Drain punch isn't even close to a KO, which is not ideal. And this is like you being like adamant, right? Even if you go 32 adamant, it still doesn't kill the King Gambit, which is a bit annoying. Now, King Gambit doesn't kill you either, which is nice, right? Because you have bulk and fist def. But like you see here, 52 with Kowtow, and 52 with Sucker Punch. And that's without black glasses, which is a bit annoying because some of them are, a lot of them are picking up black glasses a lot more now. So like Kowtow and the Sucker still will always kill, even if you have like some defense investment, which is unfortunate. If you take away the black glasses though, and go back to, no, not black belt, that's fine, just some random thing like this, you could get some defense points in here, and now you don't die to Kowtow and to Sucker Punch, because see 49 plus 48 is obviously not 100%. So you could live with like some more bulk. You do have to like, however, sacrifice like, look, all your friggin' attack basically to make that work. So I think the stat spread is a little bit unfortunate with the speed being so slow and the HP still being a bit low. Obviously, they don't change the HP on Megas. But I do think that like this Pokemon has its good rolls, right? So stuff like Vivian, you can turn off that annoying sleep powder, which is always a good thing, right? And just kind of one-shot it, and you will outspeed the Blastoise as well, which wants to fake you out. And you can fake out the Blastoise. So like you can fake out the Blastoise, turn on your electric terrain, and your partner can kind of just handle the rest, right? So I think that is a really good thing. Venusaur obviously is a bit annoying with like sleep powder stuff. This one is Mega Venusaur, is not going to show sleep powder here, but like sleep powder on the Mega Venu is a bit annoying. Let me see who others. Let's just go sleep powder. Sleep powder mines that you have to deal with, right? So Vivian, the primary one, and Venusaur, the other primary one, are the ones that you kind of have to worry about the most. And having counterplay to that is helpful. Hasn't been a lot of counterplay to that outside of Lumberry, and Lumberry just feels so wasteful because if you don't run into these things, you kind of aren't proccing your Lumberry ever. Maybe stuff like Garchomp can use it because sleep powder, Will-O-Wisp, and stuff like that are stuff that it does have to worry about. But for the most part, it was a bit hard to give up certain items for Lumberry. But now if you have an electric terrain setter, you can make things shake a bit. So now I'm going to move over to regular Raichu Y, who I think has a bit more things going for it. So the Zap Cannon, obviously the one everyone's talking about. This one has no guard. No guard basically lets you always hit the moves regardless of your accuracy, right? So the reason this is important is because one, like I said, Zap Cannon is its strongest move and it's inaccurate. But now you can click it for free. And the thing is that people think about like Zap Cannon's damage, but that's not really the important part. If you see here, 100% chance to paralyze the target. So it's doing damage and thunder waving stuff at the same time. And your speed stat is 130. So let's go over here. Mega Raichu Y speed stat. So like, let's look at this. Let's go to like, not Blastoise. Go to like Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is the same speed as you, right? So you're probably gonna want to run this thing timid. And Aerodactyl doesn't really threaten you that much, right? Because like if you go like Rock Slide actually just does not do enough damage to one-shot you at all, right? And that's with no bulk. And we'll get into the bulk in a minute, which is obviously abysmal. So you can potentially like hit this thing if you win the speed tie with a Zap Cannon. You will bring it down to Sash, right? You see how much this Zap Cannon does with timid. It will bring you down to Sash, and you'll paralyze it and slow it down. The 130 speed also means you have a faster fake out than Sneasler. And Sneasler is also going to get paralyzed and not brought down to Sash. Well, maybe not. I didn't know you could kill. I thought that it was a roll. I thought it was I actually did not realize that this does so much damage. I thought that it did less. 50% chance to KO was kind of crazy. I did not know that. That's insane. So yeah, you can paralyze the Sneasler. If you don't KO it, right, you can follow up with your teammate, which is a really, really big deal, because like Sneasler obviously has counterplay, but it's not as much counterplay as people would like. And this gives you an option to counterplay Sneasler really, really well, because you can, like I said, you're a faster fake out user, you're a faster attacker, you can one-shot it potentially, or you could just like hit it for a ton of damage and then follow up with your teammate because you slow Sneasler down. Like paralyze Sneasler's speed, let's go to Jolly here, healthy. No, status healthy, go to paralyze, is 94. Like you can outspeed that with an Incineroar. Like like Incineroar can outspeed that thing with like not even like in like 15 is plenty. Is all you need to outspeed this thing if it's paralyzed, right? So like that's pretty insane. Obviously it's not accounting for in bird and stuff. That's like a different layer, right? I'm just going for the raw numbers here. Once again though, going to stuff like the Blastoise, which people are a bit annoyed about, not Terra type or Mega Blastoise, you kind of just one shot it with this thing as well. Not Pikachu, I call it Mega Pikachu. Why? So my brain sometimes goes to Pikachu. It looks like Pikachu to me. I think they made it so they could like make a Mega Pikachu without like breaking the rules of Mega Evolution. But anyway, Zap Cannon just one shots the Blastoise pretty hard, which is nice. Things that it also hits pretty hard once again are Charizard, even like the bulky Zards. If you go max HP, they don't really run a ton of special defense, and I don't think they can run enough to live. Yeah, Zap Cannon at timid, it just always modest. So if I go to like timid, so modest is different. I gotta go back to Sneasler. So Zap Cannon, you can live if you're 32, and if you 68% chance to kill, and that's without terrain, right? I don't have the terrain on or anything by accident. This Pokemon is actually very strong. And also you get good coverage, right? You get Focus Blast as your coverage. So like King Gambits actually do have to worry about you. King Gambit, Piccolet set. So this is a Chople Gambit, I believe. Wait, what? Why does this kill through Chople? Oh, because there's no HP on the Gambit. I'm about to say, that doesn't make sense. 32 HP King Gambit. And then also Piccolet has some very interesting, I'm using Piccolet because it has Raichu preloaded already. I don't have to do any changes. Yeah, that's a bit strange. So like you can kill through Chople if you're timid. If you're modest, which I don't think modest is correct. Jeez, Christmas, you smoke that guy. And obviously if they don't have Chople, if they're like glasses, you kill. So here's the thing though, right? Sucker Punch. Why is that not doing more damage? Oh, because it's 0 attack. 32. So Sucker Punch will destroy your Raichu here. 68% chance to kill. But here's something that I found. 10 defense. Now, Sucker Punch will never kill. So like, I know people were talking about this thing's bulk, and obviously it's not bulky at all, like whatsoever. But I think 2 HP and 10 defense, and you still have a special attack stat over 200, I think is like fine. Because look how much Focus Blast still does, right? If they're black glasses, they're not killing you. And Focus Blast is still killing. And you're not going to miss Focus Blast, so they can't even click Kowtow safely in front of you, like at all. And we know where the stuff with Sneasler already, but we'll just go back to it real quick. Sneasler, Jolly, close combat will kill. But again, this thing won't get a chance to hit the Sneasler. Why? Because Zap Cannon is going to paralyze it and your teammate is going to destroy it. So the ones that like these Pokemon do struggle with, for example, like this one would struggle with Floette still, right? Because like Flight of Ruin one taps, Moonblast like one taps if it's like oh my god, Moonblast just one taps and you don't do enough damage in return. But once again, you're gonna paralyze it. And if you paralyze it, you give your teammate a chance to go first. This Pokemon is so stupid. Let's go to what other coverage options does it have? It has Surf. It has Alluring Voice. So like, let's see how much that does to Garchomp to see if that like matters. Garchomp, it's random Picolytic set. Alluring Voice. That's good damage. If you can chip the Garchomp, you can kill it. But just if you want to do coverage, but I probably wouldn't run this. I think I would just run Volt Switch or Electro Webs at that point. I'll let my teammates deal with the Garchomp. Electro Webs cannot miss with No Guard, which it's a move that normally has a 5% chance to miss. But now you have guaranteed speed control. So like between Zap Cannon and Electro Webs, you can kind of just control all the speeds of the battle. And I think that's this Pokemon's biggest strength, is that it controls the speed of the battle really well. It's not the damage, it's the speed. And right now 130 is like the primo speed stat, right? If you go to something like Delphox, which is like one of the fastest mons in the format, which is above the 130s, Delphox doesn't actually kill with any of its moves, right? I do want to look and see how much Side Shock does, because Side Shock might do more. Side Shock does more, but nothing kills if you run the defense. Now, if you're doing no defense, let's see what happens. Side Shock can kill, so I do recommend having that 210 spread. I think I found like the best Raichu Y spread already. But you see here, you can live the Side Shock, and then if you 2 Zap Cannon still KOs. Oh my gosh! And Delphox with def is 125. Oh no, it's regular. No, it's Mega Delphox. Yeah, that's Mega Delphox. That's kind of insane. That you just kind of wipe it in 2 shots, and that's if it gets a chance to hit you, because to make a full parrot. Full parrot has been nerfed, obviously, but still, it's not a 0% chance. It's just like a 12.5. So the last thing I want to talk about before I can get up out of here, usually when they bring Pokemon like these in, they bring other stuff in that do equal stuff. So for example, Electric Surge coming back to some people is a sign that they're going to bring back the other terrains. But I think, in my opinion, they've shown a willingness to not to do stuff that doesn't make sense in this game so far, like bringing in the Floette with like without like the 2 premier steel types that deal with it in like Metagross and potentially like Mega Mawile. Scizor doesn't count. They added Frigiraffe and Serena in the game, right? So who cares about Scizor? You just block its only steel type move that it runs. They give like King Gambit, but King Gambit dies in one shot to Light of Ruin. And they did put Aegislash, but like even Aegislash doesn't like really beat Floette. It just checks Floette. Whereas Metagross beats Floette. And I'll talk about Metagross in another video. But like usually they do keep these things together. But I think low key they might just bring the Raichus and not bring the other terrain setters. Because if they do bring these 2, I doubt they bring these 2 and then they don't bring Weezing, which is the other one that sets like Misty Surge. So we'll see like how that goes. But if they do, I do think Rillaboom and Raichu Y are really good partners, because then you get to protect the thing from the ground type moves, which will send it to Super Narnia. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the 2 Raichus and what the abilities mean and how much they can like change the game. Just based on how well they check everything, or how well this one checks everything, and like this one's potential to maybe do some cool stuff. Let's just do Play Rough into Garchomp before I get up out of here. Let's see. Let's go Garchomp. Garchomp Picolytic set. This is not the right set. They're all going to run HP, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Where's Play Rough? Let's go max attack, just so I can give you the most fair chance, and let's get rid of that Intimidate drop. So Play Rough doesn't kill, and then you just kind of, oh, but you know what? Look at that. You still do survive the Earthquake if you have the bulk, but you don't have the bulk because you're going to probably run max. Nope. Let's just drop it. Let's drop it down. Let's drop this down, and let's raise this up. So let's see. You still, so you can live the Earthquake with just 26 HP. That's really good to know. You will die to Chip, most likely from the Rough Skin Chip, but the fact that you actually can live the Earthquake and get this attack off is really good. Or you can get the attack off first, right? So this actually is pretty good damage. Play Rough, I think, is valuable. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. Those are my thoughts on the 2 Raichus. I'm a big Raichu Y fan, not as big of an X fan, but I think X will have its like place. But anyway, thank you guys for being here, listening to me ramble on about these 2. Click like for your boy, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh, and just real quick, I know there were some people talking about like rising voltage on this mod, but like the problem with rising voltage is that like Charizard with no bulk just lives it because Charizard is not grounded, and you don't get to use the rising voltage boost on opposing Pokemon that are not grounded. So like Charizard with no bulk will just live. Charizard with max HP will like super live. What else was I thinking about? What are the flying types? Oh, it's called like Aerodactyl. It's called like Mega Arrow. Mega Aerodactyl will just kind of live because it's not grounded. Base Aerodactyl will like live because it's sash, but it has a chance to live without sash. Like, so the fact that like it's not guaranteed to kill these flying types with any amount of bulk because your special attack is so bad and you don't get the boost on rising voltage because they're not grounded, it's just kind of unfortunate to me. You do get lots of damage on stuff like Sneasler, like because those are like grounded, you get a ton of damage. So like maybe that's like more worth it to you, but we'll see. Anyway, now I'm actually going. I just wanted to hop back in and talk about that. See you guys next one. Peace.